Hey, if you're sick and tired of being sick and tired and want to get your dream body once and for all, I'm going to give you an opportunity here to make that happen. I want you to message me on Instagram with the keyword action taker. And you may not be an action taker yet, but if you take this first step, I guarantee you I will help you get to your goals. Once again, fully guaranteed or your money back. So you have nothing to lose. All you need to do is take that first step, send me a message, action taker, and I'm going to tell you one-on-one how I'm going to make you see change in your life once and for all to build your dream physique. And I assure you, together we cannot fail. So once again, message me with the keyword action taker on Instagram to my Instagram at ColossusFit, COLOSSUSFIT. Stop putting it off. Let's see some change and take some action. Into the episode. What's going on, everybody? Welcome to the Fit, Healthy, and most of all, Happy podcast. I'm your coach and host, Josh, here with
his co-host and co-coach, KG, and I'm in the house.
And this is Motivation Monday. It's time to get you fired up, answer some of your questions. Our new segment, sharing what's making us happy, share some quotes, and just to overall have a great time. So sit back, relax, and we're going to jump into it with our first question. And I actually added this one myself. And what's cool is we have so many good questions lined up, which is amazing, from our private broadcast channel on Instagram. So if you're not following us on Instagram, you're missing out, because I'll share quotes there early sometimes. I'll give little bonus segments or opportunities like voice notes. Me and Kyle will come in there, fire everyone up. And it's totally free. Like on our Instagram, you'll just see we have a broadcast channel. You can join that and it'll just like DM you little motivation, different tips from us. But I asked for some mailbox motivation questions there. I had them already. But I was at the gym and it was a funny story. Me and Kyle were just doing our thing, working out. And I saw a trainer come up to this guy and he was doing cable rows. And he said, "Excuse me, sir, how many sets do you have left?" And that guy looked at him and he's like, I just started. I still have a lot. And then the trainer was like, "Okay." And then he went to the other cable row, which was completely open. And I said to Kyle, I'm like, "Who asks how many sets they have left if it was open?" And he's like, "It wasn't open before. Someone was on it." But it really made me think, like, this is such a big debate and a big question for a lot of people. So I figured this would be a good question. Like, how do you feel about the "how many sets do you have left" question? What's the proper etiquette and what are your thoughts? So another funny story is I started going to the gym because a gym in our area, Good Life, it's a big chain here, did a teen fitness program where you could go in the summer for free between specific areas and only use specific machines. And for me, I had no money. So I'm like, this is amazing. I can go to the gym, get jacked for free. It's good incentive. But I realized they're celebrating their 15th year. And I think I started on the first year they did it, or the second. So that actually tells me I've been lifting closer to 15 years, which is absolutely crazy. So I've seen things. I've seen the trends change. I've seen the good, the bad, the ugly, everything you can imagine. But one thing that's a consistent is this question of saying, "Excuse me, how many do you have left?" And the reason I brought this question is because as soon as he said that and he kind of gave that weird answer, the trainer was a little bit weird about it. And then another lady said, "I hate that question. I'm done when I'm done. No one should ever ask me that question." And I was like, wow, I didn't realize this was so divisive. And even I asked my wife about it. I'm like, "How do you feel when someone asks you this question?" She's like, "It makes me feel a little uncomfortable because if I say 2 sets, are they counting my sets? Are they rushing me? I feel rushed." So I figured there's a lot in the air here. So I figured I'd kind of jump into my thoughts of it. So when the gym is really busy, I think this is a question that needs to be asked. I go in the morning, so I don't get this too much, but this is all it is. It's not telling you to rush off. It's doing none of that. This question at its core is really just a way of saying, like, hey, how much longer will you be? Because I'm deciding if I want to wait or if I'll go do something first. If someone tells me I have 1 set left, I'll say, "Okay, awesome. I'll just grab that after you're done. I'll just be waiting over here." And it can be annoying for some people. I understand if someone's hovering or whatnot, but I find most generally this is actually a respectful question, and it's something that it isn't worth just being like, "I'll be done when I'm done," because at the same time, like, that kind of comes off a little bit rough, and it is helpful for people. So people sometimes will ask me and I'll say, "Hey, sorry, brother, like, I'm doing 5 sets of heavy bench with long rests. I will probably be a little bit." And at that exception too, depending, sometimes people ask the question of like, "Can I work in?" And that's a whole nother thing, but we'll jump into that after. So to this question, I think it's a fair question to ask, and it's something that no one should really take offense to. And on top of that, I think communication is everything here. If you say, "Hey, I have 2 sets, but I take longer rest, so probably will be a little bit," I think that gives someone more to feed off of. Whereas if you say 2 sets and you take forever and they're thrown off, then it's kind of weirder. Another opportunity is you could have them work in. But in general, like, as long as someone's being considerate, I find this is something that needs to be done, especially if the gym's busy, because you're hunting down machines. You're like on African safari trying to find, like, it's really hard to actually narrow in and lock down a machine when it's busy. And that's why I don't go to the gym at night. But in general, this question, in my opinion, is respectful. I think it's worth answering respectfully, not really taking offense because it shouldn't have offense. My frustration would be if someone's using a lot of machines. You can get in the weeds there with gym etiquette. But in general, I think it's a fair question. And on top of that, like, can I work in with you? So sometimes people will ask to work in with me and Kyle. And once again, when you're on the machine, it's kind of your right, as long as you're not being ridiculous and you're there for an hour or something. People sometimes will ask to work in with me and Kyle, and I'll say, hey, I'd rather not, sorry, because there's two of us and we're going back and forth, or especially if there's three of us. If there's two of us, usually I'll say come in. We did the other day for rows. But if there's like three of us, I'm like, four is a little bit of a crowd for one machine. So I'll try to avoid that. But the main thing is, like, with any etiquette based gym thing, in my opinion, if you're courteous, you communicate. It's also a great way to meet people. You know, someone's like, oh, no problem. Nice to talk to you, by the way. Like, you're looking jacked. Like, sometimes it's funny, those first points of discussion are how you actually make friends in the gym. And I think also it was interesting to me to know that this could potentially be an offensive question, because I never saw it that way, right? And I think if someone got upset, you'd say, hey, sorry. Even for me, I've been trying to really just like be patient with people and be understanding, because I didn't even know that was a thing. And you could say, hey, sorry, I'm not trying to rush you. I was looking to use that one after. Or sometimes I'll actually communicate my reasoning, because sometimes it's hard for me because I'll want a certain bar for powerlifting. The knurling's better. And I'll try and say, hey, I'm a bit of a weirdo and I like the specific bar because it grips better for me. That's why I'm waiting. I know there's other ones available, but just out of curiosity, how many do you have left? And I find that'll be received way better than in this situation where it'd be like, come on, bro. Like, if this trainer's ask you for something when there's another one available, because you want to just be like, hey, go over there. But all in all, I think as long as you're nice, you're being communicative, you're being understanding, like, etiquette is such a tough one. And I know sometimes trainers will really feel like they can push you around because they have a client. As a trainer, I really tried hard not to be that way. But at the same time, like, if your client's doing very specific things, I can see both sides of it. So I know it's a little bit of a random question, but I figured it'd be kind of interesting to hear my thought process on it for being lifting as long as I have. But I'm curious what Kyle has to say as well.
It's funny because on that note of the trainer, like, we've had experiences where trainers, they would kind of try to kick us off. Like, we've had this one.
We have been kicked off.
She had a pregnant client, and shout out to her for being there. But she was more or less like, hey, I'm using this. Like, I'm taking this because my client takes priority. We're like, well, this is a shared space. Like, it shouldn't be like that. So, a lot of stuff like this does happen. And I really do like this question, because the gym is sometimes hard to navigate. If you're newer listening to this, if you've been there for a while, there's always these ups and downs, and you're always having to communicate. Think of how many people you have to work around, especially when you're there. But I think, like, one of my pet peeves, and first of all, I'll say, like, I'm totally cool with this question. I always ask it, and I think it's very important, like Josh said, to be kind. Like, usually I'll just say, like, wait until they're done, they're set, first of all.
That's a big one. That is a great, I think nothing annoys me more, but sorry, continue.
No, you're so right. And like yesterday, or it was the other day, we were hitting I was hitting quad hamstring curls, so maybe last week, actually, on Saturday. And then right beside me is the quad extension. And as I'm mid-set, pushing myself close to failure, a guy was pointing, asking me if I'm using that. I'm like, no, I'm not using that. Like, it's very common for people to, like, interrupt you, first of all, to ask you for something, like, across the gym if you're using it. But secondly, just, like, don't do it while someone's hitting a bench press or hitting a set. Wait until they're, done their set, and say, hey, if you don't mind me asking, how many more sets do you have? And then that's just such a common and great question to ask. But the one thing to even take note of, and this is where I think some people really have a hard time, is like when someone does hover, right? When someone says, okay, cool, you got 2 more left. Awesome. And they'll just stand there right behind you, just like watching you, like, deeply. I think it's very important, and something we try to do, and this is a good tip for people, is just say, hey, I'm just going to be at the cable warming up my rotator cuffs. You mind giving me a wave when you're done? That is a very great way to put it, because if you are someone who is waiting for that bench press or whatever it is, and then you just go do something else and you say, okay, cool, I'll be back, you're probably going to get someone else will take it from you. So you want to make sure to have that communication where you just say, hey, I'll go do my warm-ups, and then let me know when you're done. I think that's a great way to approach it, and just you're being mindful of everyone. So yeah, very, very good question in my opinion.
Kyle nailed it there. And I think that's probably my biggest pet peeve ever. Now, I know people have asked me before what my biggest gym pet peeve is, but I've been doing like heavy sets of squats. Someone's coming over and they're pointing across the gym, hey, are you using that treadmill? I'm like, no. And I'm like dying with 400 pounds on my back. But like I said, I think the 2 biggest things are like be patient, be kind, and be courteous. I suppose that's 3. There's probably some overlap in there, but you have to understand, like, some people are brand new too, and they're figuring it out. Some people have been there forever. There's a lot of debatable unspoken rules too. Like, some people, like, especially if you've been lifting powerlifters, you kind of need to bring a gym bag with you because you have all this extra stuff, knee sleeves, belts, shoes. Some people would argue, you go put it away. Nonetheless, some people are like, yeah, gym bag, I put everything in there, I bring it around, I nicely tuck it away. And some people say gym bag should never be there. But I also think, like, even in these gray areas, if you're courteous, it's fine. Like, I do bring a gym bag. I'm sorry if that upsets you, but I'll tuck it away where it's not in anyone's way. It's not impeding them. It's not in their space of their machine, where, like, it should almost be like it doesn't even exist. So if you're being nice and courteous, like, don't let these things scare you too. And, like, I very rarely had bad interactions in the gym in 15 years. And especially if you're newer, and I know a lot of people will have hesitancy to even go to the gym because they're like, I don't know all these unspoken rules. Like, there's so many weird nuances. But like I said, if you're just a nice person, I find even it's so, like, disarming if you just smile at someone. If you say, hey, sorry to bug you there, and they're done their set, like Kyle said, and you said, I'm just curious how many you have left because I'm looking to use that after you. If you have a while, I'll go do something else if you could weigh me down. Like, you're going to get a way better response than if you come up and you go, how many sets left? Like, can you hurry up? Like, right away, you're probably going to end up in a fight or something. So I think that was a really, like, just a fun question. I figured the commentary would be pretty interesting on it. And I know we've had requests for more etiquette-based questions. And like I said, if you want to ask a question, I think you still can in that broadcast channel. I have, like, submit a question for Mailbox Monday. So you can go on our Instagram, just comment on that. You can DM us as well, or you could actually do it through our website, colossfitness.com. I have a section on there called podcast, and you can nicely, like, if you have a longer question, we'd love to have it because, like you'll see from these next 2 questions, they're phenomenal, and we love to answer your questions. And I always say, if you have a question, chances are someone's thinking it too. And even if you think you know the answers to everything, there's, like, little semantics of that questions, there's gray areas, there's preferences. So it's really fun, and I think that's what makes the podcast going, and that's why we're going to get to 1,000 episodes plus for sure. It's like, even Kyle used to joke, like, when we were on, like, 20, 30 episodes, he's like, we're going to run out of questions, man. Like, I don't know what we're going to do. And then as we kept going on, we're like, okay, there's so much to talk about. Like, the more you learn in fitness and nutrition and health and life, the more you realize how much you don't know, and it's just really motivating to keep learning. So shout out to you for tuning in to this episode as well. And even as I always say, like, tuning in twice a week is going to give you an advantage, right? You're going to be getting motivation, inspiration. You're going to get new thought. We're going to maybe challenge some of your fitness beliefs. And once again, doing this is going to keep you motivated and fired up. So shout out to you for tuning in. So that was a really fun first question. Now we're going to go ahead and jump into our quotes, and let's let Sir Kyle take it away.
Sir Kyle is here with the quote, nice and simple. It's not a deep one, but I hope it resonates with you in some way or another. It is, you're only one workout or meal away from being on track. And this, obviously, I'm referring to a good meal, a good workout, any sort of workout. You can get back on track pretty easily. Right now, I feel like it is the season where people are potentially falling off track. And what happens is, one bad day, or maybe one bad weekend, or one bad week from a trip, wherever you go, can often deter you from seeing results. I've seen it happen over and over again. I'm sure most of you can relate to that, where you sometimes feel like you've gone backwards, you feel defeated, you start to overthink things, thinking that you are back to square one, thinking of how hard it's going to be, even just the soreness that may take place. You overthink it, right? So all you need to do is start with that first good step. Even if it's a nice walk, just jump back into it. You're so close to getting back on track. So actually, this coming up Thursday, we're going to be talking about how to get back on track when you've, like, lost touch for a while. This could be from an injury. This could be from life taking you by storm. Like, we're going to have a full episode, so you're going to want to make sure to check that out. But I just find right now it's a very common thing happening, whether it's like a weekend away. It's so easy to then allow that to turn into 2 weeks and 3 weeks. But all it takes is that one first step. Just do it. Don't overthink it, and you'll be back at it. And I promise you'll get some amazing results as long as you stick to it.
Yeah, it's funny. We don't plan to overlap, but actually in what has us excited or intrigued, I actually have a whole thing on this. So I'm going to jump ahead of my quote and get into this. And because it's a special day, I'm going to have a bonus quote. So my bonus quote is, when our results fall short of our expectations, the inner critic finds an opening and steps on stage. And that's from behavioral scientist BJ Fogg. And I love this because I always talk about my clients, like, I notice when my clients are living congruent, so they're in line, they're in stride with their goals, their ambitions, they're moving forward, they're getting healthier, they're progressing, like they just radiate happiness. They're smiling, they feel great. But there's something way worse, like when we're actually falling short of our expectations of ourselves, be it fitness, health, financial, whatever it is, that's when you have something kind of like tugging at you, like, oh, I know I'm capable of more. I know I can do more. And that's when our inner critic gets on there and we'll start to say things like, oh, you're never meant to be fat, or you're never meant to be healthy. You've always been like fat or overweight, and you're always going to be that way, just like the rest of your family. Or you're not actually ever going to be able to eat healthy. You don't have the discipline, or you don't go to the gym because you're not like it's funny how we'll start to do these things, right? And it's not our desire for change. All of us desire to change. Every single person wants to be better at their core. It's just the scale of change that we're pushing. And usually when these things happen and then we have these thoughts and we think, you know what, maybe I am overweight, like maybe I am really obese or whatever. It's like, I'm going to do something crazy. And you go and say you're going to lose 80 pounds and you stop eating carbs and you do all these fad diets and you take this drastic, crazy change. You go to the gym twice a day, every day for 7 days. It's not sustainable. And then you fall off and then you just end up undoing everything you've done. But instead, similar to Kyle's quote about just like one workout or meal being back on track, you're only one small decision away from actually starting to create some change, which I think is amazing. So if you can take small intentional actions that will move you closer to your goals, that's going to showcase to you that you're actually closer to change. And a good example of this, something I really love, is a 15-minute win. So I think one of the easiest examples, we've all lived somewhere, right? Whether it's your parents' house, your house, whatever, we've all lived somewhere. Sometimes your house will look like a tornado's gone through it. It'll just be so messed up. You don't know how it happened. The dishes are crazy. Maybe you got pet hair everywhere and you're just like, well, this is a lost cause. I can't even clean this. And then you go and you're like, you know what? I'm just going to do the dishes. And you do the dishes. Like, oh, I feel pretty good. And then you start doing things. Then you show yourself, wow, I can tackle this massive thing just by doing something small. And I love this component of choosing a 15-minute win. So similar to the dishes in your house, something that's going to get the ball rolling and help you tackle that big problem. Because if you say, I need to clean my whole house, good luck to you. If you take it room by room or one small decision, I'm just going to start by vacuuming, momentum will carry. So a 15-minute win could just be like going on a walk. It could be eating one healthy meal, like Kyle said. It could be actually taking the time to plan when you're going to go to the gym that week. It could be taking 15 minutes to stretch. When you do these small things, like even if your goal is to lose 300 pounds and you start by taking 15 minutes to cook one healthy meal, you start to go, oh, I could do this. I could do it again. I could do it again. And that's ultimately how these massive, crazy, out of this world transformations happen from these small decisions. So oftentimes, keep that in mind. It's not that we don't have a desire to be a better version of ourselves or to progress. It's just sometimes that mountain seems like impossible. Like you're just never going to get to the top of it. But instead, if you just start saying, how can I go one foot in front of the other? What small wins can I have? Understand there will be variables. Understand that you might fall. Things might mess up. That ultimately is how you do it. And when you fall off, like Kyle said, you're only one decision or one meal away from going on track. And even with my clients this weekend with check-ins, like I reminded a lot of them is, weekends are always hard times. Like bad decisions usually just get worse from one bad decision, right? You're at a social event, you have everything planned out, you have your dessert, and someone goes, would you like a second portion? And you go, oh, I shouldn't. But then you do it, right? And then you're like, I've already had two, I may as well have three. Then someone comes around with a drink, you're like, well, why the heck not? And then the next day you're like, I'll skip the gym. And it's crazy how like that first thread, everything just starts to unwind, right? Like it becomes dangerous. Or you order like food for your kids that like you don't want to eat yourself, like McDonald's. Like even my son was eating French fries yesterday. I went to go take one. I'm like, if I have that, I'm going to end up eating half his nuggets, half his fries, something else. Like I know myself. So sometimes when you can avoid that thread, make those small steps, like it's a big key. Just something I want to share. Anything you want to add there? Or?
Yeah, I really like that you mentioned momentum, because that's something that's been on the top of my mind, is just how we all need momentum for sports, especially. Like every team that wins, they end up having momentum, but also on your journey. So the other day on our beach volleyball, I played really poorly one of the games, and I just remember my momentum wasn't there and my confidence was really low. I missed a bunch of hits. I started to doubt myself. I started to hit a bunch of them out of bounds. It really sucked. It's not a good feeling, but my momentum wasn't there. My confidence wasn't there. The next game, got some really good sets, got some really good spikes. I felt like I was on top of the world. All it came down to was just the momentum built up and I had more confidence in myself. But even relating that to like sports, I see like the game 3 of the Florida Panthers versus Edmonton Oilers. all it was the momentum carried, and they had the confidence that they needed to win. I'm not sure what's going to happen the rest of the series, but that game was all based off of that. So I find when it comes to your fitness journey, relating it back to momentum and confidence, you have to ask yourself, how can I build these two things up? Confidence comes from doing what you say you're going to do consistently over and over again. Momentum comes from also doing that and just allowing the snowball to turn into a bigger snowball, allowing your positive habits to turn into even more positive habits. If you have those two things in place with the right game plan, you will be unstoppable. But I've seen so many different times where, like, in my life, it's just I either lose in a sport or in a journey because I didn't have the momentum or confidence, or I win, which I try to most of the time. So just something for you to think about today.
Yeah, momentum and confidence. And it's funny, as you build momentum, you build confidence, which builds momentum. Like, they're kind of like they fuel each other, which is absolutely amazing. And like I said, it's really small ways you can build it as well. And I actually had a note here too. Like, in your life, if you're struggling too, like, you can build confidence by paying a bill, returning an email, cleaning their fridge, like those little things you put off. It's like, give yourself that 15-minute win. And I'm telling you, you'll just start cooking. And with fitness, it's very much the same. It doesn't need to be, it can be very daunting undertaking a huge journey or accepting you need to lose 50, 100 pounds and understanding the steps of that. But you just start to go, oh, I can go to the gym a couple days a week. I can get to bed on time. I can eat healthy. It gets easier and easier. You just got to put in that first step. And that's why our keyword for today is action taker, because we want you to take action by taking that first step. Let us do the hard work for you and let us just make this as easy as possible. So once again, if you want to work with me and Kyle one-on-one, fully custom, fully guaranteed, this is your chance to do so. Message me action taker on Instagram at ClossFit, COLOSSUSFIT. But now we're going to jump into my actual quote. I know I have two quotes today, but I guess that's never something to complain about. But this is something that just really has been living in my head, and I'm really excited to share. And that is, pain is the gatekeeper of destiny. Pain is there to ask you one question. Do you really want to achieve your goals, or are you just a talker? And when I heard this, I was like, oh. And then recently I heard too that pain is a down payment for success. If you think about like a mortgage, if you put a down payment, it's a ton of money. And what's even scarier, even if you're like 20% down, you're committing to 80% more plus interest. Like, it's crazy, right? Like, just to get a house. But that's something we do all the time. We know we have to do that to get the house. And once we're in, it'll be a little bit easier. Hopefully our income will grow as we grow. But very much the same way, pain is the gatekeeper of success. It's painful that first time not overeating. It's painful not having that second portion of dessert. But ultimately, it gets easier and easier. And the reality is, if you don't have some discomfort or some pain, you are just a talker. You're someone who says all the time, I want to lose weight, but you're never taking action to make that happen. I want to get stronger, but you're not taking action to make that happen. So you need to remember that pain is that buy-in, and pain, discomfort, like even little, it's uncomfortable. It's painful waking up and not hitting snooze, right? But ultimately, by doing that and having that success and moving forward towards your destiny and your goals, like I said, you feel more fulfillment. You feel like you're congruent with your life. And also you have an easier life, which is phenomenal from it, because oftentimes that easier thing ends up being more painful. Because I hit snooze, I do what makes me feel good. I snooze for 2 hours. I'm late to work. You know, your boss gets you in trouble. I don't have time to eat breakfast, so I eat a really bad, horrible lunch. I feel behind and the house is all a mess, and I'm like, oh, I'll clean it tonight. Then I don't clean it. Then I order food late because I had such a bad day and I deserve a treat, right? And then I'm sitting there and I'm like, why did I eat all that food? I feel horrible. And then I'm like, I'm going to do some shopping. And I start buying some stuff online. Before you know it, it's 3 a.m. and I got to do that again the next day. And like, this is dramatic, but I'm sure a lot of people have had these days or these experiences. It can start from you making one quote unquote easy decision. So sometimes making a harder decision and having that little bit of buy-in with a little bit of discomfort, a little bit of pain, like you get up when it's hard to do so, you get the ball rolling, like Kyle said, you build momentum, you build confidence, and it just gets easier and easier. And you have the opposite effect. You start stacking wins. You're like, I'm up, I can do this. You eat a healthy breakfast, you go to work, you're fired up, your boss is impressed because you're in a great mood, you're performing well, you have time, you feel so good from the gym, you got a compliment, and then you go to the gym and you crush that and you're like, ooh, I feel good from the gym. Let me go get a really healthy meal. From there, you get a healthy meal, and then you've had a really nice fulfilling day. You sit down, relax, get to bed on time. Like, it's such a difference doing the one day, doing everything you think you want to do, hiding from pain per se. Whereas the second day you embrace pain, it's amazing how much easier that day in your life is. So I thought this was great. Pain is the gatekeeper of destiny. Pain is there to ask you one question. Do you really want to achieve your goals, or are you just a talker?
So well said. And even on that topic of confidence and momentum, what I just started thinking about while Josh was talking as well is like, it's a lot easier when you know you're taking the right steps, when you have accountability, when you have the right game plan. Because unfortunately, I do see some people build momentum and they are really confident, but it's kind of doing the wrong actions, like they're going down the wrong road, even if it feels like you're doing stuff right. So that's where obviously our promo today, I know for a fact we can help you. We guarantee our results. And we mentioned it a few times, but it's just something that I think will really, really change your life. We have clients that come in and like the first week when they see the momentum, when they start to see the changes, they're like, I'm bought in, like I'm fully invested. And it makes such a big difference. So yeah, those are the big things to really help you out. And I really hope you spend some time thinking about it, because you deserve your absolute best. If you're listening to this, you're already in the top, I'd say better than 1% of people like to take time to listen to this podcast. So huge shout out to you.
Yeah, now we're going to jump into what's making us happy. And this is actually going to come full circle back to pain. So what's interesting about pain, obviously, when I dislocated my shoulder, when you get hurt, you want to do nothing and you want to protect it. So you don't want to move it. You don't want to play your old sports. You want to be very careful. And it's actually the worst thing you can do, because you can get frozen. Yeah. You can get a frozen shoulder in this case by not using it. You can actually have it lock up. Instead, you need to do that physio. You need to push it. You need to intelligently move through pain, and you need to get back to what you've been doing. Because I know so many people that have hurt themselves once, they won't do anything anymore. It's like, I'm not snowboarding. I'm not biking. I don't want to do a run, like anything. They'll be so hesitant with it. And what's hard is pain is that product of being able to do something. And for me, what's made me happy is it's been nice. Barbell squatting, like I'm still having a really hard time. Like the last bit of shoulder mobility I'm struggling with is getting tight and really bring my arms back. So getting under the bar isn't feeling great. But now that I've squatted a few times, like I'm noticing it's starting to feel a smidgen better. Deadlifts feel good. I'm benching again and feeling good. And like it just felt very rewarding knowing how hard I worked to try to rehab myself back, and to know that I'm not like limiting myself and saying I'm never going to powerlift again because I had this one injury. And just having that attitude that it's like, no, I'll find my way through this. When I hit a wall now, I have different opportunities to work on my mobility. I have to warm up a little bit longer before I bench, but I'm not letting one injury take away the things I like doing. And I think it's a great reminder for everyone else out there. Like if you have knee pain, for instance, like lean into that, right? Like, and you say, what do you mean lean into my pain? But I mean, why do you have knee pain? Like find the source of that. I shared a cool hack on Instagram. Can you do more rehab towards it? Can you ice it better? Can you alternate your routine for it to be more intelligent? Like, but it's like, don't just accept these things, like combat them, fight against them, find ways to heal. And a lot of the time it takes a ridiculous amount of work. Like even shoulder physio is just so much work. It's so boring. It just doesn't feel as rewarding when you're lifting heavy and seeing muscles come as a result of it. But a lot of the time, the worst thing you can do is like just avoid everything and not do the things you love. And I think as I get older, I'm not necessarily still old, but I know so many people that did all these crazy things. They'll talk about what they did, how they love doing them, but they can't anymore because they're old. And it's like, you're like 35. Like, why can't you do these things? Like, get out there. Whereas you'll see some people that are like 70, living the dream, doing the things they want, just challenging themselves. And one thing I always say to my clients as well is, yes, we break, but we heal. And that's like the process of what we do. And sometimes maybe you can't get back to 100%, but it's like, you could either be at 10% or you could get as close as you can, be 98. So lean into that pain. But that's one thing that's been on my mind. It's been rewarding, even getting back to powerlifting, getting in a new routine, lifting heavy, finding creative solutions, and rebuilding.
Because that's very similar to me. So like last week we had the question of what would you tell your clone? And I spent some time talking about how we need that. I need that push. I need that thing to work towards. And that's like the big change I want to make going forward. So Josh said, hey, how about Monday we start a new routine? We started it. It's been killer. I even texted him yesterday. I'm like, man, this is killing me. Like even the small things, like yesterday, nothing crazy, but having 275 on the bar again for sets of 10, repping it out, pushing myself, like needing that rest where I'm like, oh my gosh, like this is challenging. Like that pain it's a good feeling, like knowing I'm actually pushing myself. Cause like I said, I've gone through the motions. I've done some great things on my journey where I'm kind of still showing up and I'm staying active. But at the same time, when I'm actually physically challenging myself, working towards a goal, it makes me so happy. And I think there's nothing worse than like when I just get too soft, like I go too easy on myself and I just kind of go in there, do a couple curls and just like kind of challenge myself and say I showed up and say I worked out. But the feeling of like actively working towards something, trying to hit new personal records, setting goals 10, 12 weeks from now and following a killer routine, it makes me so happy. And I think so many people struggle because they just go through the motions. They just get by. They just show up because they have to. So I really encourage you to find that pain. Like this is a big topic for today. Like push yourself. Like there's no better feeling than pushing yourself, having to set new limits, struggling throughout the journey. Like it's a really, really good feeling. So that's going to be the main thing that's making me happy, especially this week, first week into our new killer routine.
Yeah, and now we're going to go ahead and jump into one of our clients who embraced the challenge and has been killing it. Well, actually two of our clients. So who do we got this week?
Yeah, so this week we have Mike and Mary, the power couple. They've just both done incredible jobs. Mike has been in our program for a good chunk, actually over a year now, and he brought his wife on board and she crushed it. Even in the last 90 days, she was able to lose 8.25 inches overall. She lost about 6 pounds. And as you'll see on the screen, if you're watching this, which I encourage you to, you'll see her photos. Like she did a full body recomposition, which is absolutely amazing. She showed up every single day, every single week. And of course, Mike as well. He's lost well over 20 pounds while fully changing his body. Like I said, doing a body recomp where you lose fat and you build muscle at the same time, which is very hard for most people to do, especially because you're kind of doing two things at once, which most people struggle with. So it's so awesome to see couples come in here, absolutely crush it, and really just push each other, right, at the same time. So huge shout out to Mary and Mike. Every single Monday, we also post the transformations along with a video of what they have to say, as well as the tips that our clients share within this exact transformation. And you can always learn something from someone. So make sure to check that out. We've shared it a few times, but our Instagram, we share daily stories. We do daily posts. We have the broadcast channel, which Josh does a great job with. And we just try to share as much of the things that are on the top of our head, because oftentimes I'm not just going to pick up a microphone like midweek and just be like, all right, I'm going to film an episode. We have those things planned out. Whereas on Instagram, I'll just grab the camera and be like, oh, this is on my mind. Let me talk about it. So just something to share, and make sure to follow us. And a huge shout out to Mike and Mary.
Yeah, huge shout out to them. And on that note, actually, I had something I was really excited to share, and this was from one of our clients in our program, Michelle. She's working with Coach Krista right now, and I just wanted to share what she said because I just find this so amazing, and I think this really speaks to what Kyle said about we just try to add value. Like, we're not asking for anything from you on Instagram. We're just trying to give as we are from this podcast. But here's what she said about our program. So she said, I'll start with what I thought. I would get a generic plan, someone telling me what to eat, how to eat, when to eat, and that I'm just not trying hard enough in my fitness. Instead, here's what I got. Coach Krista, the kindest person that is on my team. She gave me a simple plan that 100% works for me. My time, my eating, and my life. When I fall, she catches me before I hit the bottom. When I struggle with the move or calories or life, she helps me. When I don't see change, she sees it and shows me, which only further encourages me. She's a good friend that tells you the truth in a kind way. Now I feel like I'm just playing a game of Sudoku or a puzzle where I just try to make it all work out by the end of the day. And in my spreadsheet is a life game changer. She made a note. Easy peasy, and weight and body are changing exactly how I want them to. Krista recognized I had a fair bit of knowledge before we became a team, reminded me of the key points. And this has been really helping me with my goal of feeling more comfortable and confident in my body. And I know I'll get there and towards my goal with Coach Chris and my team Colossus behind me. And what I also love, she made a special mention. I think pricing was spot on. And I think the spreadsheet is absolute gold alongside the accountability. And no matter where I turn, my phone, my podcast, my IG, my Facebook, you guys are ever present throughout my day, which is also good. And that's what I really think is important, right? Having someone on your team, we talk about this all the time, to build you up when you're feeling weak, someone to inspire you, having that coach, that community behind you. Like, this is just where it becomes so much easier feeling in line and having that support. When you're at it, you're up by yourself. It makes it so much harder. So big shout out right here to this couple for killing it. I was really excited to share this because I really think it highlights the power of what we do and why we do it. And like I said, if you want to take action once and for all, this is your chance to be an action taker. But now we're going to go ahead and jump into our second question, which is, what are your best tips for managing stress? I'm still working out 4 to 5 times a week, but wondering what you guys do to minimize stress in your life.
Great question. And I don't think about it too often. I'm going to be honest with you. I just feel like I do a lot of things that naturally leave me feeling good. And walking is going to have to probably be one of the most important things. I find even like after a day where it's like a lot of content was created, maybe we're putting out some different fires, a lot on my mind, I find that alone single-handedly can help fix things. Just like not even being in nature, just being outside, whether it's a nice day or not, and you just feel so good from it. But I really, when it comes to stress, I try to do sprinkles. Like, what I mean by this is little things throughout the day, whether it's 5 minutes of meditation, even sometimes as I'm driving, I'll actually put on like a meditation thing, and just in the morning, listen to it, right? As I'm driving, nice and chill, and it'll just tell you to take some deep breaths. Like even this is if I don't sit down and actively meditate in the morning, and it feels really good. So I'll do different things like that, the consistent walks. Even the other day, it was a really, really busy day, and I just sat outside in the front yard for 5 minutes, like on my porch, and I just sat there, just being present, and I felt so at peace. I felt very relaxed, right? So I think it's very easy, even though like I'm someone who's go, 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 I need to be always doing something, just to take that time for yourself, ask yourself what stresses me out and what doesn't stress me out. Do less of the stuff that stresses you out and do more of the stuff that de-stresses you, and you'll be good to go. But I think the main underlying thing is just taking a few seconds, taking a few deep breaths, slowing down, and it doesn't have to be for hours. Like do a 2-minute jolt. You can start to feel a lot better. Check in with yourself throughout the day. And my last thing here is I try not to let things bother me too much. I don't want to be someone who gets walked over, but at the same time, like there's going to be so many things throughout the day that can bother you. And if you just get bothered by everything, like I see people, and especially as you get older, they get bothered by everything. Like if you're in the grocery store and someone does something, like you could just see like, and maybe it's just being alive for longer, and I don't mean to, call anyone out, but they get so bothered consistently by like everything, and it's like, it's not that serious. So that's going to be my personal viewpoint. I just wanted to share that, but it's a very great question.
Yeah, phenomenal answers there. And my number one thing is just getting in the gym. Like I feel like when I don't work out, when I don't have a physical outlet for myself, I really just don't feel myself whatsoever. But I see you already got that knocked off by going 4 to 5 times a week, which is phenomenal. And some extra add-ons. And I think the biggest way you can reduce stress is actually acknowledging why you're stressed. Like, are you stressed because you have an exam to study for that you haven't studied for? Are you stressed because you're not doing something you know you should? Like, usually there's a source or a reason for it, or it's something that will pass. Like, if it's like, I'm stressed because I'm sick, it's like, okay, you will get through it. What can you do to make yourself feel better in the here and now? If there's a reno, like understanding that there's an end to that tunnel, like whatever it may be, I find when you actually acknowledge what it is that's stressing you out and start to say like, is there anything I can do? And if you're like overthinking and that's stressing you out, as someone who overthinks a lot, like one thing that really changed overthinking for me was understanding that you can't overthink overthinking. You can't outthink your way of thinking too much. And I was like, wow, that's a good point. So I've really worked to say like, what can I actually do in the here and now? What can I plan? And then when I know I've done all I can, I just find I feel way better because I'm like, I've actively done something. And that's just how I am, where I like to fix solutions. I like to find actual tangible things to move past it. So those two have been the biggest for me. And a third fun little bonus tip, I would argue that your space can stress you out quite a lot. And it's funny, I started listening to this book, The Minimalist Home. And I started listening to it. I downloaded it a while ago. It's like 8 hours. And I'm like, oh my gosh, I don't know if I can do 8 hours of some guy telling me to tidy my house. But it's been pretty good. Like I've gotten some really good little tips from it. And there's parts of it that are a little corny for sure, but I have been enjoying it. And he just mentioned, like I try to keep my house pretty clean. My space is clean because I know your spaces can stress you out. So if your car is disgusting, there's stuff everywhere, it's a mess, you feel horrible. Every time you go into it, you're thinking, I should clean my car. When you have guests, like, oh, I'm sorry, I should have cleaned this. And you're always thinking that. And it's like a little poke of stress. Like if someone's poking you with their finger and they're stressing you out. And like you could actively avoid that by just keeping your car clean. And even like we spoke on this podcast before I even owned a car, I heard the tip that whenever you leave your car, take all the trash out with you. And I've done that and my car stayed like pretty clean. Like there's times I could vacuum it more per se, but like I think no one would ever say I have a dirty car, which I'm pretty proud of. But even with this space, they were saying, are your spaces intentional to actually help you de-stress, right? Like if your bedroom's like a cinema in there, you got a movie theater and you have all these bills and all this stuff. Like when you go in there, you're like, oh, I don't want to do this. Like this isn't actually making me feel better. Like your bedroom should be a very like minimalist space that encourages like rest or intimacy, right? Like that's really what that should be for. Just the same, like in your kitchen, it's funny, even like my wife has like these papers left out of something we need to do. And every time I see it, I'm like, oh, we need to do that. And it just, like I said, it's a poke. And when you're getting poked from your car, you're getting poked from your kitchen, you're getting poked from the mess in your office where you can't even find what you need to find. You can't find your clothes in the morning. So I do think you can kind of like have some balance in your space. You can tackle some things and be intentional. Like be with kids in daycare, I feel like we're always sick, but like we'll leave like the Tylenol and the cold stuff out on the counter. And then I was even saying, like in his book, he's like, by doing that, you're basically acknowledging that you're going to get sick again. It's like, just go put it away. When you get sick, bring it out and put it where it needs to be. And I was like, this is a good point. Like they're tiny little things, but it really does feel good when everything is a home, not necessarily leaving things out. Even I had this other thing on my desk that me and Kyle had to deal with. And it was like, oh, it was just every day annoying me, stressing me out. And we closed that out. I put it away. And this morning I felt so good. I'm like, my desk is so clean. It just feels like a blank slate. So ironically, I think there's other things you can do like with that. And obviously we could get more in the weeds with it, but I thought it was pretty good. I'll find the name of the book and I'll put it in the notes if you want to read it. Like I said, it's really on this one theme, so beware, but I can put it there if you specifically want to hear it.
Yeah, I'm excited. I'm literally going to get Josh to give me the book right after this because I need it. But I think like the last thing is just know, like I said, know what bothers you and what stresses you out. And I think it's so many people miss out on this. Like I know that if I'm late, I'm stressed. Like immediately I start to feel it the entire drive. I don't like it. So I try to leave early. I'd rather be much earlier. And I know that. So it's like, sit down with yourself. What stresses me out? Like really spend time, write it all out and stop doing that same thing over and over again. And at least try to avoid it. Right. So even if it's like your boss, like have a conversation. Like it's too many people allow these things to consistently beat them up day after day and they don't do much about it. So I really think this is important. And I think it was such a great question. I love Josh's answers as well.
And do a 15-minute win. I love what Kyle said too, because sometimes like you'll be putting off or scared to talk to someone or have that hard convo. It's like, just do it, right? Get it done. Jocko Willink talks about how he lives his life with the mantra, go. Just go. Any decision you need to make, oh, I don't want to talk to this person, go do it. I don't want to clean my car, go. So I think that's another fun bonus you can get as well, and something that is absolutely awesome. So that was really well said, because instead of like talking about it and dwelling in it, it's like, try to solve it. And you can't always solve things, but like I said, when you start to do some self-analysis, maybe journal, that can really go a long way as well. But for our last and final question, my job can be quite active and others sedentary. Should I raise or lower my calories for the day according to my activity levels? So I'm curious Kyle's response. I have my thoughts on this, but this is a great question.
So I'm personally not a fan. When it comes down to our coaching style, what we do ourselves, I'd rather have a set number or a set range. Sometimes what I would do is give someone, let's say 2,000 to 2,200 calories or 2,300 calories. So that way on the days where they may need a little bit more, they can have slightly more. And then on the days where they're like less active, then they can have slightly less. So I'm okay with ranges, and that's totally cool. I find it also helps people mentally knowing that if they go over slightly or if they go under slightly, they don't beat themselves up over it. But I don't exactly like the concept of constantly making changes, like 2,500 calories on my high active days, then 1,800 on my low days. And a lot of times even people would do, I guess it would be like calorie cycling. I just think it's too confusing. I would rather have a set range or set number, consistently stick with it. And even like Tuesday, I know I burn more. I play volleyball for a couple hours. My workout can be more intense. Sometimes I'll go for an even longer walk. I just don't think about it. Like too many people try to do this puzzle of like up, down, and I'm going on a big hike this weekend. Should I start carb loading and do more? It's like, no, just stick with the numbers. Like if you need slightly more and you're just killing yourself ravenous, you can make that change and try to figure that out. But I'm not a big fan of it. So that's my personal viewpoint.
I agree with Kyle, full-fledged. And I've experimented with this, and a lot of calorie apps now will allow you to eat more on some days, so you can eat less on others. Well, eat less on some days so you can eat more like on the weekend. I just find this gets so messy. To me, my calories are my calories. I stick to them. And then if I'm deathly hungry, I'll have like the most boring thing I can, like just pure chicken breast or veggies. And usually when I'm like go to have that, I'm like, I don't want this. I'm just bored and I don't do it. And that's why I couldn't even tell you the last time I do it. But usually I have that rule, right? Where it's like if I'm dying, I'll have a bunch of veggies and some protein. And most often it's because I'm bored. And to Kyle's point, I just think it's such a slippery slope, because Tuesday, he goes, I'm lifting, playing volleyball. I went on a long walk, whatever. So I'm going to eat extra 1,000 calories. Like he's just going to go, and then he's going to be really hungry after volleyball. He's going to eat that 1,000 or more. And then he's going to undo the progress of the week. Like it becomes such a quick self-justification just to overeat on that day and really mess up. Like with extremes is the exception. I've always said this to my clients. Like they'll say, can I eat back more calories from exercise? And I always say, most often, no. Like most of us aren't doing anything crazy. Even for Kyle to play 2 hours of volleyball and go on a few walks, it's pretty negligible, right? We're talking a couple hundred calories, like, and he'll probably over justify it by eating too much in its place. Same with like doing a heavy leg day or whatever it may be. The exception would be when Kyle was marathon training, he would literally need to eat more food. If you're really doing extreme levels of sport, you're a high level athlete, then I can understand it. But I just find most people, even I'd consider myself pretty athletic, I don't do anything that would really justify that at this current point. Even like I said, on the craziest day, I would lift for 90 minutes, go on some walks, and play 2 hours of volleyball. Like, yeah, it's tough, but like if I'm eating at maintenance, it's really not going to be a deal breaker for me. So there isn't much of a need. And you'll see people, they'll go, I worked really hard today, so I'm going to go get this fun burger and fries. And they'll just end up eating more because they're exercising and burning some calories. And then it just contributes to your problem where most often the time too, that food isn't the most quality. And you just end up being in worse wear because of it. Whereas these days, this little like change, if you will, like 10, 20%, whatever, that can work to your favor by not doing any radical pivots. So personally, it's something I don't advocate. I don't have any of my clients do it. It's not to say you can't have success with it. I just find it so messy. It's confusing for your body. There's too much going on. I do find simple is what really will get the best transformations because you want to be able to do it consistently, repeat it, and have success with it. So that's my answer there. But I want to thank you for tuning in. That was a really killer podcast in general. I think there was so much value in here. It was a lot of fun, a lot of really cool new things on our mind. Love the new happiness segment. So if you're feeling this as well and like something hit you today and you thought this was a good episode, if you could share it to your like Instagram story or really anywhere you share things to a friend over Messenger, Facebook, like that really does help us grow. And I know you probably hear me say this a lot and you don't think about it, but it truly does help us a lot. So like if we've helped you and you could do a small favor for that, tag us please, because we'd love to say thank you. You'll make mine and Kyle's day, and that always means a lot. But once again, I want to thank you for tuning in again today. Peace out.